You may have seen the report that that tiny radioactive capsule that was lost in Western Australia has now been found. When most people think of a radioactive spill, they imagine a giant barrel that has spilled out some sort of fluorescent colored substance all over the place, but that's not how it usually goes down. In this case, we had a tiny capsule of cesium-137. Now, this graphic shows you just how tiny the capsule was, just 8 millimeters tall by 6 millimeters in diameter. That's about the size of a Tic Tac. Hi there, I'm Jeremy Krug, and this is the place for chemistry explanations, lessons, and science demonstrations. If you enjoy this video, please click that like button. And if you're new here and think you might want to come back, please hit that subscribe button too. This little tiny radioactive capsule was packed up into a box and fell out on the side of the road in Western Australia. And it was lost somewhere along a 1,300 kilometer route. That's 800 miles. Or to give a little bit of perspective, imagine that we're trying to find a Tic Tac that was dropped along US Highway 1 somewhere between New Haven, Connecticut and Raleigh, North Carolina. That's what we're talking about here. And this thing is very radioactive and very dangerous. Just so you know, cesium-137 is one of the two main isotopes that causes the Chernobyl nuclear disaster site in Ukraine to be so dangerous. The meltdown caused a large amount of cesium-137 to be instantly vaporized and blown all over the place, all over Europe in fact. Although the bulk was blown into the 30-kilometer radius around Chernobyl, some of it has even been detected as far away as Germany and purportedly even in sheep in Norway. So this is a nasty isotope to have fallen off the back of a truck. So how did this happen? Well, here's the timeline. On Tuesday, January 10th, the capsule was sealed up and placed in a protective package. 2 days later, on Thursday, January 12th, 2023, the package was picked up by a contractor from the Rio Tinto mine at the Gudai-Darri site, and it is believed it started its southward journey toward Perth, which was supposed to take just a few days. Well, 4 days later, on Monday, January 16th, the vehicle got to Perth, but nobody bothered to open the package to see if the radioactive capsule had arrived safely. It wasn't until 9 days later, on Wednesday, January 25th, that they opened the capsule and found that the bolt that held the package together had slipped out, probably from the bumpy road, and the capsule had fallen out the bottom, right onto the road. So that means the capsule was sitting there on the side of the road somewhere between 11 days and 2 weeks. Not good. This little Tic Tac of death gives off beta particles. As it does that, it converts into barium-137, which almost immediately begins to decay on its own right, shooting off gamma rays as it does so. And this isotope has a half-life of 30 years, which means that it would be highly radioactive for several centuries. This little pellet gives off enough ionizing radiation that if you were to stand 1 meter away, that's about 3 feet, for an hour, you would have gotten the equivalent of 10 medical x-rays, somewhere pretty close to your allowable safe level of radiation for an entire year. So the search began, and they had to be quick about this because there was some urgency in finding it, but the search vehicles, armed with radiation detectors at the same time, had to move very slowly along the side of the road, searching for this thing at about 30 miles per hour or about 50 kilometers per hour. And fortunately, it was found only about 2 meters or 6 feet or so from the side of the road. I say fortunately because it's a good thing this pellet didn't get stuck in somebody's tire tread or picked up by an animal and then taken to who knows where. It seems like the pellet stayed pretty much where it landed when it fell off the back of the truck. And it looks like it really didn't get very far toward its eventual destination as well. Although it was supposed to travel 1,400 kilometers, it only made it about 218 kilometers away from the mine, or about 1/7 of the way before it fell out, about 74 kilometers south of Newman, Western Australia. The search only took 6 days. The capsule was found around 11 a.m. local time on Wednesday, February 1st, and it has been returned to safety. Now, I've made a little reproduction of its approximate size, but as you can see, this thing is tiny, and it's made of foam, and it's orange. So you can see this a little bit better. Imagine the real thing. So why were they transporting this thing to start with? Well, for mining, it's often used to determine the density of rocks. You set it up somewhere, and based on the radiation that emerges on the other side of the rock, you can determine if the rock is the one that you're trying to mine. Now, that's a very oversimplified explanation, but that's basically how it works. And cesium-137 has other uses too. Since it's very radioactive, it's often used to calibrate the Geiger counters, and it can be used for radiation therapy in medicine too. Now, this could have ended very badly. Back in the 1970s, a similar capsule was lost in a gravel quarry in the Soviet Union. The gravel was eventually used to build an apartment complex, and unbeknownst to the residents of the building, apartment 85 in that complex had that capsule lodged in the wall. Over the course of the next 9 years, 4 people in 2 different families who lived in that apartment died of leukemia, 3 of them quite young. So the people of Western Australia can rest easy knowing that this capsule has been found and it's no longer lying out in the open. Well, I hope you liked my video and my explanation. I'm Jeremy Krug. This is the place for chemistry, explanations, lessons and demonstrations. If you like the video, please smash that like button and please hit that subscribe button. And thanks for joining me.